Don't touch my bag. The words came out of JaNa's mouth like fire, loud, raw, and terrified. Her voice sliced through the chatter and clatter of the overcrowded downtown shelter like a blade. People paused mid-conversation, heads turning to see the source of the outburst. JaNa lunged forward, yanking her tattered gray backpack from the floor and holding it close to her chest like a shield. Her hands shook. Her heart raced. Inside that worn-out bag was everything she owned in this world. Her charcoal pencils, a fading sketchbook filled with her dreams, her mother's floral scarf still faintly scented with lavender, and half a sandwich she'd been saving since morning. A teenage boy, maybe 17 or 18, stepped back with his hands raised. "Whoa, relax," he said, his tone more surprised than offended. "I wasn't going to steal it." He had a soft face, despite his linebacker build. Dark skin, wide shoulders, but gentle eyes. JaNa squinted at him suspiciously. "Then what were you doing?" she snapped. "I was just trying to make space," he said, gesturing to the small bench they were both near. "Didn't even see your bag there." JaNa didn't let her guard down. She'd seen too much, heard too many stories. Kids getting jumped over backpacks. Women losing their last pair of shoes. "I'm Kenny," the boy added, awkwardly scratching the back of his neck. "I'm just here to volunteer. My school does this thing, community hours, you know." JaNa narrowed her eyes. Another volunteer. Another rich kid playing savior. She knew the type, coming in with their matching t-shirts and forced smiles, passing out meals like blessings and disappearing before the sun set. She turned her back to him and sat down, clutching her backpack tightly. "I don't need your help," she muttered. But Kenny didn't walk away. Instead, he sat on the other side of the bench, not too close, but not far either. He didn't speak again, just took out a water bottle from his bag, placed it gently on the seat between them, and leaned back against the wall, watching the room quietly. JaNa kept her head down, but her eyes flicked sideways. Who was this guy? Most people left her alone, especially after she barked at them. But not this one. The hours passed. Volunteers came and went. The noise of the shelter faded into the background as dinner trays clattered, kids cried, and tired feet shuffled. Kenny was still there. When a little girl nearby tripped and dropped her juice box, he was the one who helped her up without saying a word, smiling gently as he handed it back. When an older man with a cane struggled with his coat, Kenny helped him out of it like he was helping his own grandfather. And he never once looked toward JaNa again, which only made her more curious. She glanced down at her sketchbook, her fingers itching to draw. She hadn't added anything new in days. Her mind had been too foggy. But now, she flipped open the book and sketched fast, a wide frame, thick shoulders, and kind eyes behind a raised hand. The image of the boy she'd just yelled at. When she was done, she looked at it for a long time. Then she glanced at Kenny. Maybe he wasn't like the others. Maybe. Kenny kept showing up. Every week, like clockwork, he came back to the shelter. Same easy smile, same quiet energy. He wasn't loud, didn't try to fix anyone's problems with grand gestures or fake sympathy. He just existed beside people like they mattered. To JaNa, that was strange. Suspicious, even. So she watched him. He played tag with little kids like he wasn't afraid to get his white t-shirt dirty. He helped clean trays in the kitchen, no complaints. He even sat with a grumpy Vietnam vet named Curtis for half an hour just to hear him tell the same war story twice. But what really made JaNa notice was that Kenny never once asked her why she was homeless. Most people did. "Where's your mom? What happened to your family? You're too young to be here." But not Kenny. Instead, he would just offer her a bottle of water or a banana from the shelter cart. Then he'd sit nearby and quietly read a book or tie his shoelaces 5 times like he didn't know how to sit still. One day, when the cafeteria was unusually calm, JaNa sat on the floor by the window with her knees up and sketchbook balanced against her thighs. She lost herself in the lines, the sharp angle of a jaw, the bend of an elbow, the warmth of a smile that had been playing in her memory. Kenny's smile. She hadn't even realized he'd walked up until he said softly, "You drew this?" Startled, she snapped the book shut and looked up. "Were you watching me?" He took a step back, hands up again. "Sorry, I just saw the page. It's incredible." JaNa narrowed her eyes. "Yeah, well, it's nothing." "It's not nothing," he insisted. "That shading, the detail, it's real. You could do this for real, JaNa." She scoffed, almost bitterly. "For real? What's real to you? I live in a shelter. My art supplies come from the trash. That doesn't mean you don't have talent. Oh, so now I'm your charity case? She snapped, voice rising. Gonna sponsor the poor girl with a dream? Kenny didn't flinch. No, I know some people. At school. Art professors. Summer programs. Scholarships. I could get you in touch with them. I mean, if you wanted. JaNa stared at him. Why would this boy, this football star-looking, clean shoe-wearing, probably has a laundry machine at home kid, care? What's in it for you? She asked flatly. A gold star on your community service form? Kenny's gaze softened. Because you matter, JaNa. That's it. You matter. And I see something in you that shouldn't be ignored. The room went quiet between them. No one had ever said that to her. Not in those words. Not with that kind of sincerity. For a second, she wanted to believe it. That maybe she did matter. That maybe her drawings were more than just ways to escape the ugly around her. I'm not used to people sticking around, she mumbled. I'm not people, Kenny said with a smile. I'm Kenny. JaNa cracked a grin, despite herself. She didn't give him her full trust. Not yet. But she did something she hadn't done in years. She flipped her sketchbook back open and let him look. And for the first time, the world felt a little less heavy. 2 months later, everything was different. JaNa still stayed at the shelter, but now she woke up with purpose. Her mornings weren't just about survival anymore. They were about getting to her community art class on time. About practicing. About growing. About hope. Kenny had done what he promised. He connected her to a free art program run by a retired professor who took one look at her portfolio and said, "This girl's got something." He even bought her a real sketch pad and a box of charcoal pencils, no strings attached. She tried to resist the help at first, but Kenny never forced anything. He always gave her the space to say no. And for that, she found herself saying yes more than she expected. JaNa started sketching murals in the shelter stairwell, drawing kids from memory, capturing the quiet dignity of people the world overlooked. And Kenny? He kept showing up. He wasn't just the football star at a fancy private school anymore. He was her person, her biggest cheerleader. When he invited her to his championship game, she almost said no. I don't belong there, she whispered. Yes, you do, Kenny replied. You belong anywhere I am. Those words stuck to her like glue. So she went. She borrowed a dress from one of the older women at the shelter and carefully straightened her hair. Her nerves were on fire, but when she stepped into the stadium, the world went quiet. It wasn't the size of the crowd or the blinding lights. It was the way Kenny looked when he saw her. Like she was the only person in the world. He waved from the field, grinning so wide his helmet wobbled. And when he threw the game-winning touchdown, his first move wasn't to celebrate with his team. It was to scan the stands and blow a kiss her way. Later, after the game, he brought her down to meet some of the other players and donors. That's when the mood shifted. She's her, one of the older men said, eyebrows raised. You mean the homeless girl? Another whispered, not quietly enough. JaNa froze. The words hit her like bricks to the chest. She's gonna drag him down, someone muttered. Bad look for a rising star. Kenny didn't seem to hear it, but she did. Loud and clear. In that moment, everything they'd built felt fragile. Like she was a stain on his future. A reminder of a world he was supposed to rise above. That night, back at the shelter, JaNa stared at her sketchbook, hands shaking. She thought about how far she'd come, and how far he still had to go. She tore a page from the back of her notebook and scribbled a note with one of her old pencils. Thank you for everything, but I can't be the reason your future falls apart. JaNa. She left the note with the woman at the front desk, packed her bag, and disappeared into the night. She didn't cry, not because it didn't hurt, but because part of her believed she was doing the right thing. Love, she told herself, sometimes means letting go. And even though her heart ached with every step, she walked away from the only person who had ever made her feel seen. Kenny hadn't stopped running. The minute he read JaNa's note, everything else disappeared. His post-game celebration, the flashing cameras, even the scouts who had lined up to shake his hand. None of it mattered. Not without her. His sneakers pounded the wet concrete of downtown as the rain fell hard and fast, turning the city into a blur of gray. He didn't care. He didn't even stop to grab a jacket. The note was crumpled in his fist, soaked through, but he could still read her words like they were burned into his memory. I can't be the reason your future falls apart. He checked the shelter first. Empty cot. Then the back alley where she'd once drawn portraits in chalk on the brick wall. Nothing. His chest burned with panic. The rain kept coming down, and so did the doubt. What if she really left for good? He almost gave up until he remembered the bridge. That quiet space under the freeway where she used to sketch in peace, away from the chaos. He ran harder now, lungs on fire. And then, finally, he saw her. She was sitting on a crate, knees up, drawing in her sketchbook with the same focus she always had. Her hoodie was soaked. Her fingers were smudged with charcoal, and she looked like she hadn't slept. Kenny stumbled forward, slipping slightly in the mud, breathing heavy. "Why'd you leave?" he gasped. JaNa didn't look up. Her pencil moved steadily across the page. "You have a future, Kenny," she said quietly. "A real one. Scholarships. Fame. All of it. I'm just extra weight." "No," he said immediately, stepping closer. "You're the reason I want a future." She finally looked at him. Her eyes were red, but not from crying, from holding everything in. "You don't get it," she said, voice tight. "People like me, we don't belong in your world. The donors, the sponsors, the polished, perfect lives. I saw how they looked at me. I don't care how they looked at you," he said, cutting her off. "You think I care what some rich guy thinks? You think that's love? They cheer for me on game day, sure, but they don't know me." "And I do," she asked bitterly. "You do," he said firmly. "You know what I'm scared of. You know I have a scar on my shoulder from falling off a bike in 3rd grade. You know that I hate bananas but eat them anyway because they're good for football energy. You know me." She blinked. "I don't want a perfect girl in a designer dress," Kenny continued. "I want you. The girl who told me off the first time we met. The girl who sees beauty in the ugliest corners of the city. The girl who made me feel like I wasn't just a jersey number." JaNa's shoulders trembled, but it wasn't from the cold this time. It was hope. "You don't get to leave me behind," he whispered, kneeling in front of her. "Because you're not behind me. You're with me." For a long moment, neither of them moved. The rain slowed. The city quieted. And then, she leaned forward, gently pressing her forehead against his. "You really came out here in the rain for me," she whispered. "I'd swim through a hurricane if it meant finding you," he replied, smiling. That night, they didn't talk about the future or the past. They just sat, side by side, two soaked kids under a bridge, with nothing but a sketchbook, a football dream, and a love that refused to be broken. 2 years later, the downtown gallery buzzed with excitement. Camera flashes flickered like lightning. Wine glasses clinked. Soft jazz played in the background as art lovers wandered from painting to painting, pausing in quiet awe. And at the center of it all stood JaNa, no longer the scared girl clutching her sketchbook in a shelter. Tonight, she wore a fitted black dress and gold hoop earrings. Her hair was curled in soft waves, and confidence radiated from her like a second skin. But more than that, her eyes still held that spark, that same fire that once told the world, "Don't touch my bag." Now, it said, "This is my world, too." "Excuse me," a woman said, staring at one of the portraits on the wall. "Who painted this one?" "That's JaNa," another voice replied reverently. "She used to be homeless. Now she's one of the youngest featured artists in the state." The portrait they were admiring showed a young black boy, barefoot in the rain, holding an umbrella over a sleeping dog. The caption read, "Kindness doesn't need a roof." Every piece in the gallery carried that same spirit, gritty, emotional, human. Her collection was titled Scene, a tribute to people the world usually ignored. Shelter kids, tired mothers, war veterans, addicts, artists, survivors. Reporters gathered around her, scribbling notes, snapping photos. One leaned forward and asked, "JaNa, what changed your life? What was the turning point?" She smiled softly, then turned toward the man standing at her side. Kenny, now 21, taller than ever, dressed in a tailored suit that couldn't hide the football bruises he still earned every week. He still played, still made headlines. But tonight, he wasn't a sports star. He was hers. "I was surviving," JaNa told the reporter. "But Kenny taught me how to live." The cameras snapped furiously. But the most powerful photo of the night wasn't one of JaNa alone. It was of the two of them, hand in hand, heads leaned together, smiling like the world finally got something right. After the gallery closed, they walked to their favorite old bench, the same one outside the shelter, now repainted and clean. JaNa sat down, pulling out a tiny leather sketchbook, worn but cherished. Kenny looked at her with pride. "You know, that gallery owner said half the crowd came just for you." JaNa laughed. "Please. They came for the free wine and cheese cubes." "Still," he said, nudging her. You made it. From chalk drawings under a bridge to full-blown exhibitions. She looked at him, her voice gentle. We made it. They sat in silence for a moment, the city humming around them. Then JaNa pulled something from her bag, a framed pencil sketch of a boy with wide shoulders, laughing as he handed a juice box to a little girl. I drew this the first day we met, she said. Didn't show anyone. Not even you. Kenny took the frame and studied it, eyes misting. That was the first time I thought maybe not everyone was out to hurt me, she added. You changed everything. He took her hand and held it tight. We saved each other. From the outside, it didn't make sense. A football star and a girl who had once fought pigeons for food. Two kids from different worlds. But love? Love saw through all that. Love saw potential where the world saw problems. Love saw worth where others saw baggage. And love, real, unconditional, against the odds kind of love, made them unstoppable. That night, under the glow of the street lamp and the echo of distant city sounds, two kids who had once been written off by the world made a silent promise. No matter how far they rose, they'd never forget where they started. And they'd never stop choosing each other.